I can see laughter, or I can see tears. I see a choice, love or fear. So what do you choose? I can see peace, or I can see wars. I can see sunshine, or I can see a storm. So what do you choose? What do you choose?
Oh,
Now I choose to live with freedom flying from my heart where the light keeps shining. And I choose to feel the whole world crying for the strength that we can rise above. I choose love. Yeah, there we go.
thanks, Shawn.
A little bit I choose love for you.
So maybe you do or don't know this guy. This is Shawn Gallaway, and he's coming through on his show here in Salt Lake City, Utah. I have the privilege to be able to catch him, and I'm doing a little music with him. I played with him a couple times. We've known each other for about 4 years between different concerts and things we participated with. This is the Bowers Tribe Facebook Friends Tour, and I wanted to kind of let people see a little bit more personal side of Shawn. Now, if you do or don't know him, he's a musician. He's traveled all over the nation and different
World
places
now.
of the world, and he's has several CDs out and things like that. But as you know, I like to talk about a personable side of people. So Shawn, what is it like to live your lifestyle as a musician and do what you do?
Well, it's a very humbling experience. Let's put it this way. The good side is that I get to do what I love to do, which is to write and record and play music that is uplifting and healing and raises consciousness on the planet. The downside of it is that it sometimes can be hard to find gigs. The money sometimes is feast or famine. But I have these miracles that happen that allows me to know that, yes, indeed, I'm taken care of. And, I've made 7 records. And I like to tell this story, like how I was doing this gig and 5 people showed up and somebody wrote me a check for $5,000 and said, you got to keep going with this. This is really good.
That's cool.
So, yeah, so it's hard and exhilarating all at the same time. Dan Fogelberg said it best, he said that the audiences were heavenly, but the traveling was hell, and so I've had to learn how to travel better, and that's been an interesting process. But I love going to see the world, and I love playing my guitar and helping people heal with it. So, yeah.
That's so cool. Now, have you always been a musician, or when was the last time, like, let's say you had a day job?
My day job, I was a professional window washer for about 15 years, and I would wash windows, clear perspectives during the day, clearing my own perspective as we were doing these. And we used to go over 10-story buildings on what we called Sky Genies, little seats that you'd sway back and forth and clean windows. And then we'd do residences and small businesses. And then I delivered pizza. I did the artist thing, where it's like I did what I had to do to survive.
Yeah.
And while I was developing my craft. And then I also am a visual artist, and while I was developing my musical career, I got into the visual arts. And so when the I Choose Love record came out, which was in 2003, is when I was able to begin to shift from having to do day jobs, 3-4 days a week, to being able to tour. So
that's so cool.
And I've been touring ever since. Occasionally I would go visit my old boss and help him out on a job, and because we're best of friends. And but yeah, it's I'm in the 1% of the musicians on the planet,
That's way cool.
And I also give workshops, which also supplements my income too. So I was able to combine music and giving workshops, so I get to live the dream.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now, we also, I mentioned before this, I was curious about how your relationship life works, being on the road all the time. Has that been tough, or has that been something that kind of just flows and you kind of just ebb and flow with whatever happens?
What's a relationship?
Well, romantic.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's like I had a mentor tell me years ago that, Shawn, you have two women that you're going to be in love with. One is your muse, which is probably going to be the most important one, and then your partner. So it's been difficult relationship for me, and in all honesty, it's been really difficult. And you know, I'm teaching a workshop called We Choose Love, which is about gender reconciliation work, healing the work between men and women, or the wounds between men and women, and the wounds within us. And so there's been a lot of hurts that I've had to overcome related to relationships, and you know, the way patriarchal conditioning has conditioned men and women to think. And here I am out there living the dream, doing my stuff, and the last woman I dated basically said, I don't want to be with you anymore because you don't make enough money. And I'm like going, damn, well, that hurt.
That's hard.
That really hurt, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, or you have issues with money or whatever, you know? So I've had wonderful experiences with women, long-term relationships and short-term relationships, and I love them dearly, and I would like to have a full-on life mate again, you know? I'm ready for it.
Where do you see yourself? Like, everybody has goals. So what's Shawn's goal, let's say, over the next 5 years? Like, is there, like, want to be a major record label type stuff, or where do you see yourself you want to go?
There's a couple of things. I would love to sell 1 million CDs, you know. I mean, you know, and to be able to play some larger arenas. You know, I've played some pretty big gigs, 4,000 and 5,000 people. And those are fun, and I'd like to have that consistently in my life, you know. So, again, my biggest goal is to have a piece of art that I do, you know, a song, a painting, a book. I'm working on a deck of cards for men right at the moment. Somehow it gets burned into the consciousness where it's like, oh, yeah, that has been a real tool in assisting humanity really rise up, you know. So that's the pinnacle point for me. I'm also developing a TV show. That's really cool. It's kind of an off-colored sort of thing. I have these sort of irreverent songs that are kind of fun, and we have all these cartoon characters that are going to get involved with those. And I have a screenplay for the I Choose Love song and book that I've created, and I would like to see that as a full-on major emotional picture.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's all good stuff. So
So it sounds like you're really all about
creativity.
helping humanity, and like just like with your gifts and all these different things, like you're always wanting just like, what can I do to enhance or raise people's vibrations, kind of.
I think that's why I'm here.
That's so cool.
You know, it's not my first rodeo. It feels like, you know. So yeah, I mean, I like to know that music has a purpose. You know, that what I'm putting out in the world is actually, you know, bringing the joy out in people, but also giving them permission to you know, shed a tear or to let go of something that's not healthy for them. You know.
That's so cool. So the person out here that's watching you that never seen you before ever in his life or her life, but they're a musician. What would you say to a potential musician that would like to aspire to try to be the 1% like you're living?
Don't ever stop. One, if you love music and you love playing music, you don't have to be a Picasso or Paul McCartney in order to keep your craft going. The biggest thing for me is that if I'm not writing a song or playing music, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, and we have to do other things to make a living. It's like, but don't lose sight of your craft, your art, your love, because if you lose your heart, you lose your life.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now, every time I've been around you, you've always been upbeat. But you mentioned if you start writing, you know, maybe not as happy. Have you ever struggled with any type of depression or anything like that?
Massive depression, you know. I had clinical depression for a while, and I still struggle with it. You know,
Yeah.
it's I'm a sensitive, and a lot of sensitives in the world are challenged with the way our world is right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, it's a psychic warfare out there right now, and so I retreat to nature a lot. I live on a beautiful big lake in Nashville, Tennessee, and I can retreat to nature there and regenerate and then get back out there. So, yeah, depression has been my biggest guru in the sense that it has taught me how to stay on top of my game and do the self-love that I need to do to stay healthy.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So
Now you mentioned being a sensitive. I totally get that. And being a sensitive in the United States and being a man, he's even takes it to a whole new level as far as like society and intermixing and intermingling with people. And so I totally get that.
Well, yeah, you know, it's like we've lost the rites of passage in our culture, and healthy rites of passage. You know, we're going to get initiated into manhood one way or another. It's either going to be in love or in shadow. And, you know, there's a lot of shadow out there right now. So I think it's one of the things, it's one of the other things I aspire to. I did a whole CD called Freedom Cries related to the initiation of healthy manhood. And it's one of the things that I aspire to leave in my legacy is like, you know, some sort of a pathway towards healthy manhood again.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, wherever you are around the world that's watching this, Google Shawn Gallaway, check out his stuff. Awesome guy. Before we end, is there anything else you'd like to add? Put you on the spot.
I was just thinking, you know, love yourself, but, you know, smell the roses every now and again.
Yeah.
I like to go get an ice cream cone.
I had some ice cream last night.
Yeah,
So Shawn, would it be safe to say that we know each other in real life and not just on Facebook?
absolutely. We're good friends.
Cool. Well,
I love playing drum. You know, we play good music together.
And we'll be playing tomorrow. So I'll be
Salt Lake
posting
City.
it right here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And maybe I'll come visit him some other state. Who knows? Well,
Friends do that.
thanks for joining me, Shawn.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Have a good day.